Have you ever noticed that after spending time with people you feel completely exhausted? It's not because you dislike them, and it's not because you're socially awkward. The real reason? Some people are just energy vampires. They take more than they give, leaving you mentally and emotionally drained. Socializing, especially in large groups or with high-energy individuals, can feel like an intense workout for your brain. And if you're someone who values your inner peace, the constant stimulation can be overwhelming. It's not that you don't like people, you just don't like feeling depleted every time you interact. The truth is, solitude feels like a recharge, while social situations feel like a battery drain. And that's not something to ignore. You're not antisocial, you're simply protecting your energy. But here's the kicker. When you do find those rare people who actually refill your energy instead of draining it, you feel alive, engaged, and at peace. So if you've ever felt like social interactions leave you feeling more exhausted than fulfilled, this might be why. For some, social interactions come with a side of anxiety. It's not necessarily fear of people, but rather the unpredictability of social dynamics. What if you say the wrong thing? What if someone misinterprets your words? What if you put in an uncomfortable situation with no way out? These thoughts race through your mind before, during, and after any social event, making the entire experience more stressful than enjoyable. Social anxiety isn't just about being shy. It's about feeling overstimulated by the sheer amount of information your brain has to process in real time. Small talk, reading body language, responding appropriately. It's a mental juggling act that can be exhausting. And when social interactions feel like work rather than fun, it's no surprise that you'd rather avoid them altogether. If you find yourself mentally rehearsing conversations before they even happen, or overanalyzing every word you said after an event, social anxiety might be playing a role in why you prefer solitude. Nothing feels more draining than being stuck in a conversation that feels shallow and forced. The weather, celebrity gossip, or what you do for a living, it all feels empty. You crave depth. You want conversations that challenge your mind, expand your understanding, and make you feel truly connected. But here's the problem. Deep, meaningful conversations aren't easy to come by in casual social settings. Most social gatherings revolve around surface-level chatter, which can feel like a waste of time. And the more you engage in these types of conversations, the more you realize how disconnected you feel. It's not that you don't like talking to people, you just don't like talking about meaningless things. You want discussions that stimulate your mind, not just fill the silence. This is why you might find yourself gravitating toward one-on-one conversations or preferring written communication where you have time to process and express your thoughts more deeply. If small talk feels like a chore, you're not alone. If you've been betrayed, let down, or hurt by people in the past, it's only natural to develop a sense of caution. Your mind starts associating social interactions with potential disappointment. Maybe you've had friendships that felt one-sided, where you gave more than you received. Or perhaps you've been burned by toxic people who manipulated, used, or abandoned you when you needed them most. Over time, this creates an invisible wall between you and others, a protective barrier meant to shield you from future pain. It's not that you hate people, you've just learned that not everyone has good intentions. And let's be honest, trust isn't something you give away freely anymore. If this sounds familiar, it's not a flaw, it's a defense mechanism. But while self-protection is important, it's also essential to recognize that not everyone is out to hurt you. Learning to distinguish between genuine connections and toxic relationships is key to finding people who deserve your time and trust. Some people thrive in social settings while others prefer to navigate life on their own terms. If you're naturally independent, the idea of constantly engaging in social activities can feel restrictive rather than enjoyable. You enjoy your own company, your own thoughts, and your own space. You don't feel the need to be constantly surrounded by others to feel validated or entertained. This doesn't mean you dislike people. It simply means you don't need them around all the time. Independence is often misunderstood as loneliness, but in reality, it's about self-sufficiency. You find fulfillment in your own interests and passions, and you don't rely on social interactions to give your life meaning. While some people recharge through socializing, you recharge through solitude, and that's perfectly okay. In fact, being independent allows you to be more selective about who you spend time with. You don't tolerate energy-draining relationships, and you value quality over quantity when it comes to friendships. Socializing often comes with unspoken rules and expectations. You're expected to smile, engage, respond in a certain way, and sometimes even pretend to enjoy conversations you don't care about. For someone who values authenticity, this can feel exhausting. Why should you have to fake enthusiasm or force interactions just to fit in? On top of that, drama and unnecessary social conflicts are major turnoffs. You don't have the patience for gossip, passive-aggressive behavior, or meaningless disputes. The more you see how people interact, spreading rumors, competing for attention, or putting on facades, the less appealing social settings become. You prefer straightforward, drama-free interactions where people say what they mean and mean what they say. And because these types of relationships are rare, you'd rather be alone than surrounded by inauthenticity. If you often find yourself rolling your eyes at social theatrics, this might be one of the reasons you avoid people. Social environments can be incredibly overwhelming. Loud conversations, constant movement, multiple people talking at once. It's a lot to take in. For those who are highly sensitive to their surroundings, social interactions can feel more like a sensory assault than a pleasurable experience. Your brain processes information deeply, which means that even seemingly normal social settings can feel chaotic. Bright lights, background noise, competing voices, your nervous system picks up on it all. This can make socializing feel more like an endurance test than a fun activity. It's not that you don't enjoy human connection, but too much stimulation leaves you feeling drained and mentally fatigued. You function best in calm, controlled environments where you can focus on one thing at a time. And when social interactions feel overwhelming, it's no surprise that you'd rather avoid them. If you often find yourself feeling mentally exhausted after being in crowded or noisy places, this might be the reason why. At the end of the day, sometimes the simplest reason is the most accurate. You just enjoy being alone. Not because you're lonely, not because you're antisocial, but because solitude brings you peace. You enjoy the freedom of your own thoughts, the ability to do what you want without compromise, and the clarity that comes from self-reflection. Being alone doesn't feel empty. It feels fulfilling. In a world that constantly pushes the idea that socializing equals happiness, you've found joy in solitude. You don't need constant interaction to feel complete, and that's a powerful realization. Society often labels solitude as a negative thing, but the truth is, those who embrace it often have the strongest sense of self. You don't avoid people out of fear, you simply prefer your own company. And that's not something that needs fixing, it's something that should be respected. If being alone makes you feel more at peace than being in a crowd, then that's your truth, and it's completely valid. If any of these reasons resonate with you, know that you're not alone. Your preference for solitude doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you understand yourself. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. If you've made it this far, drop a 100 in the comments to show you're part of the 1% that values self-awareness.